Okay, are we live? Okay, thumbs up. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our weekly trade and tariff briefing. I'm Jim Fowler, Director of Business Advisory with World Trade Center Utah. I have the pleasure of facilitating today's conversation, and it's going to be a good one. If you're here for the first time, this is a weekly webinar series, and it's intended to provide you with the latest information about trade and tariffs. You can view previous webinars on our YouTube channel and find updates to our staff dashboard on our website. Sorry, our tariff dashboard on our website, updated by our staff. And we'll put that link for you in the chat. So today we're excited to hear from Ben Kolendar, of course, our Chief of Staff at World Trade Center Utah, who runs our dashboard. And he's going to give us the latest info about tariffs. Then we'll welcome Sherry Summers and Mike May. Sherry is the Director of Customs Brokerage, and Mike, I believe, is one of the owners of Air and Sea International. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But we're super excited to hear from them to walk us through IEEPA tariff refunds in that process. So we'll have Ben start for us. It's all yours, Ben.
Thanks, Jim. I'm going to share my screen here. Everybody should know the drill by now, but just in case you don't, this is our dashboard. You can always go to wtcutah.com/tariffs. We also dropped a link in the chat. So you could go here, follow along with us, browse around, share this link with others who may benefit from this information as well. And it also has a link to join these webinars. So if somebody that you know should be joining these webinars, feel free to share broadly. We're going to come down. These are the four sections I'm going to focus on today. We've got some updates, some hot off the press things from just last night, a few updates. There's always updates. So even on what appears to be a slow week, we've got a ton of substance coming through in terms of updates and progress on tariffs that folks should be aware of. So the thing that's hot off the press, we haven't seen any formal actions yet, but an announcement that coincides with King Charles's visit to the United States. There was a concession made by the administration announcing the removal on tariffs from whiskey coming from Scotland. And so that announcement was made, but we haven't seen any formal documentation yet. If folks were on the dashboard for about 15 seconds, we had an error on there that said the administration announces moving whiskey from Scotland, which was not what the administration did, and that would have been just a disaster. But anyway, so we have that updated now. But so stay tuned. When we get more formal documentation on that front, we will share it with this group. So the next thing I want to discuss for just a minute is potential 301s that are coming. So USTR, which is the entity in charge of the 301 tariffs, released a special report on intellectual property. And you'll see the countries listed here are the ones that have some category of concern associated with this 301 report. And I'm just going to highlight the chart here because what we see coming and what was in the press release from USTR is over the next 30 days, they're going to look into any formal actions associated with this, in particular with Vietnam, who is a priority foreign country. And priority foreign country is essentially, look, they are breaking intellectual property laws that are a very high concern for the United States. And so they are on this list. There's also the priority watch list, which formal actions may come down to this list as well. So it'll be something to monitor, and that's Chile, China, India, Indonesia, Russia, and Venezuela. And there are others who made the watch list as well. And so we'll see how this amounts, if that will result in different tariff levels or actions. But the 301 investigation is likely to launch, we're guessing, within the next 30 days or so. So another thing that we will keep monitoring and bring you the information as early as we get it, and any formal actions or announcements or anything that follows. So we're going to go into this item in just a little bit more detail when we pass it over to Sherry and Mike. But just high-level news about the IEPA refunds and the four-step process that Customs is going through right now. The first thing is that there was a major announcement, and this is to businesses as well as consumers, that if you've been working through FedEx and UPS, they made an announcement that they're likely to refund about half of the tariffs in total that came through from them to consumers or those who are working with them. So something to keep an eye on. I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but that was something that was released in the press earlier this week. And finally, there is, the U.S. had announced that, or not the U.S., but there were several announcements in the press this week saying that refunds may be expected on May 11th. Now, when I looked into some of the formal documentation and the court order, there's one nuance to this in that let's see here, the court order is right here, I believe, that what was requested is shall file a short report or update on the CAPE process in phase one. So I didn't see anything necessarily about refunds, first round of refunds, though those two may coincide. The timeline for that is May 12th for that report to be filed. So if some refunds are issued prior to that report, that's something maybe to look out for. But I don't know if I would necessarily say I expect them because the CSMS had previously given a timeline that was a little bit longer than this for refunds. So, and if Sherry and Mike have any updates on that as well, they'd be welcome. But everything I'm seeing is don't expect those, though the press is starting to say that these may start to be issued in the very near term. So, um, and the last update I have for you this morning is on 301s related to forced labor. So these 301s, both this one and excess capacity, are going through the process right now. These are major impacts on these 301s. So this one in particular is on 60 countries, and we've got the other 301 is quite expansive as well. And the update is that this is just going through the process. So these tariffs in normal times take somewhere between 12 to 18 months for full implementation. However, we expect a much shorter timeline on these 301s that are coming through now. We don't have clarity on exactly when that will be, but as the formal documentation is released, we'll bring that to this group and we'll update our dashboard as well. But just one important step in the process is that the public hearings for the 301 on forced labor standards were on April 28th and April 29th. So just a couple of days ago, which is an important step in the process. So the other public hearings for the 301s on excess capacity are scheduled for May 5th, so next week as well. So all to say that those are making their way through the process, and we'll keep an eye on timelines, formal actions, and what that looks like for the group. And last, and I'll be brief here, we just continue to monitor the 122s and any legal actions. There's been no action since oral argument on those tariffs. So as they become available, also we will share that with this group. And the announcement, we keep monitoring for a 50% tariff on nations supplying Iran with weapons. This was announced on April 8th, so nearly a month ago. We still have not seen the formal tariff mechanism by which they will implement these tariffs or any follow-up with any formal actions or documentation saying how these will be implemented. So a bunch that is uncertain, no formal documentation, but a lot shaking around this week that, yeah, we will continue to monitor and update this group on. So with that, I will hand it off to Sherry and Mike for more in-depth discussions on IEPA and the refund process. Off to you guys.
All right, thanks, Ben. Yeah, I'll just introduce myself real quick, and then we're passing it off to Sherry. Jim, thank you for the promotion. I'm looking forward to my equity package, but I'm just a sales manager right now at RNC, not owner. It's another Fowler who owns RNC. So yeah, Mike May, sales manager at RNC International. We're an international freight forwarder, so import, export, ocean, air. We also have a domestic truck brokerage as well, full truckload, less than truckload, and we have a very robust customs brokerage as well. We operate that both as a separate company and in-house brokerage at RNC International. I also am co-founder of a small outdoor goods, consumer goods company called Pingora. And so I have the unique perspective to kind of sit on both sides a lot of these issues. And so we'll be talking about the IEPA refund process, ACE application, and the CAPE portal. That's what Sherry will be going over. And so I volunteered a lot of our information and as we applied for my my refund. So off to you, Sherry.
Great, thanks. And Ben, thank you. I want to thank the whole WTC team for putting together these weekly webinars with relevant trade and tariff updates. What a great resource the dashboard has been to the trade community. Like, I'm great to be a part of this. So thank you. It's a lot of effort and a lot of reading of government documents. So I know people appreciate the time that gets put in and probably all the caffeine that's required. And I was going to ask Ben to wear his Halloween costume. We kind of really enjoyed that in our office, and thought it might be a great way to commence, to end this IEPA tariff. So if you can find it, we would love to see it.
I know if I go off camera, I may come back. I'll have to find it real fast. I don't even know where it's at.
Well, don't lose that. It's a collector item, we think, as customs brokers. So yeah, so like Mike said, in our office, we at RNC International, we actually have 3 licensed customs brokers with over, we counted 60 years of experience. So we've seen and experienced a lot. We're local. We also, can clear anything with, the whole US. But we're able to cover a lot of diverse customs matters, which includes partnering government agencies with like the FDA, EPA, and different things like that. That really there's a lot to customs more than just clearing a shipment. So we are glad we have that. We're kind of glad we have each other for this last year and a half as we've gone through all this unrest and different tariffs and stuff. So with that said, we were asked to dive a little deeper into the IEPA tariff refund process. For those of you who already have filed, we hope that we can add some extra things about what else to look at through this process to make sure you haven't left any entries unclaimed. So we have presented a slideshow, is what we have to present to you. And we will be able to provide a copy of the slideshow after the presentation, so don't worry about taking notes or trying to screenshot, which you're welcome to, but we are going to go pretty quick because we've got quite a bit of information just to walk everybody through and a short amount of time. So we're going to try to cover today these 5 steps, which is registering and setting up an account, what information is needed to set up an account in the ACE portal system, and entries that qualify for the IEPA refund, how to submit your entries in the CAPE, which is, if anybody would like to know, the government loves acronyms, and this is no exception. CAPE stands for Consolidated Administration and Processing of Entry. So it's really just the vehicle to get your refund process done. They had to make an acronym for that. So that's all that is within the ACE portal. We're also going to talk about how to submit your entries in the CAPE refund system and how refunds are going after 2 weeks. Our next slide shows how to set up an ACE portal account. For those of you who haven't done it, there are a lot of CMSM messages to assist with this, ranging from 3 to 10 pages, probably even more. But know that it's not over. It's a pretty easy process. We have found that most of our customers, unless they've had something else going on, this process takes about 10 to 15 minutes to set up your ACE portal account. So just take a deep breath and you can do it. There's different kinds of accounts within the ACE portal. So when you're going into there, let's see, The IEPA refunds, let's see where we're at here. Sorry. So you're going to be a trade account owner. You're not a member of unless you are a member of CBP of Customs. And know that when you set up your account, Customs is going to send you a series of tokens, is what they call it. So you're going to put in information, and then they're going to send you back a token through your email. So make sure that your email that you use is the email that you're using. And those all expire within 72 hours. So when you sit down to set up your ACE portal, make sure that you have time allotted, which should really be the 10 to 15 minutes to complete the whole process. Because if the token expires, then you have to start over again. So on the fourth slide, we have, once you have your ACE portal account set up, you'll log in like we just said right here. It's under the trade PGA user. Again, when you go to do this process, you're going to get a token in your email to complete even the login process. Then you're going to go in, there's 3 options when you get to that screen that Mike was just showing, that's you're a ACE right there where his arrow is. So next slide is welcome to ACE. You've done it. You're here so far. And you will choose the importer account when you pull up your accounts. Some accounts we found have set up a top account, and then you'll have your importer, and maybe if you're an exporter, or there's a lot of accounts within the ACE portal. So the type that you should be doing for the IEPA refunds is the importer one. Let's see. You're going to want to, for the IEPA refunds, here up on the top, he shows that there's an ACE refund authorization, which is where your banking information needs to go. So down you can see in the middle at the bottom of that screen, you'll need to input your banking information so that you can get your IEPA refunds. Customs will not be issuing checks. So if you don't have your banking information in there, you will not get a refund. So that's really important to add that.
And they're different spots. Originally, I had put my banking details in here on the base, not on the ACH refund section. So quick, we're going to expose all the errors that I made getting this going.
Mike was our test patient. So make sure that you put that in there, and then you have to refresh your account, and you should see it in there. Then you'll know you're complete. So don't miss that step, I guess. After you have your banking information, there is a tab there, like he has highlighted, for CAPE, which is the vehicle to get your refund. So you need to upload. That's where you'll be uploading the little red button there. Your entries. Let's see. So here we're, yeah, okay. So for our customers, we actually have sent them the required CSV file. So all of your Customs will only accept this information in a CSV file. We have sent all of our customers that CSV file exactly how it needs to be uploaded. So I don't know if all brokers have done that, but that's a possibility. If not, you'll need to upload the template.
Well, download the template, put your data in, and then re-upload.
Re-upload, yeah. Thank you for saying that.
That's where you find the upload template.
Yeah. So once you've got it in there, you're going to see upload the template. You're going to do that. You should see, like, he's got this little, it should be uploading. From there, your initial validation, you'll either get, an accepted, which he did, or you'll get a failed initial validation with a reason that it was not accepted. This is the first phase that is I guess all your entries will be together. I should back up and say, you can, in this initial or any, I guess, upload, you can have between 1 and 9,999 entry numbers with one upload. I would kind of recommend maybe doing smaller batches just so that in this initial step, if you do have a rejection, it's not so many to look through. But Customs will outline which entries didn't make it. Entry numbers, I guess, didn't make it, and for what reason. Anyway, once you're accepted, let's see, your part of the job is done, really, and your waiting starts. We have actually seen entries already liquidated, which means they have been approved, and they're just in the refund process. Anything else to add to that, Mike? Did I cover that all?
Yeah, I think that was it. So yeah, next, we thought the question may perhaps come up. It came up for me certainly. If you don't have good record keeping, where do we find our entries? How can we
Oh
go
yeah,
through
I'm going to go to that next. First, I
entries?
had a couple more things here though.
Oh, perfect.
So the refund process, Customs has promised that and been required that the whole process will take 60 to 90 days. And part of those 60 to 90 days is Customs has 45 days to review entries before they approve them. So um, even though you've submitted all of your entries in one CSV file or one batch, those entries could happen at different times. So kind of know that. Um, and then let's see, we have another, so once you're done that, you really are done. You're going to wait. If you want to run some reports to see what stage of the approval process or the refund process your shipments are in, we're going to go to that next.
Yeah, we're there now. So click on the
Okay.
reports button. Side note, they were actually having issues with this yesterday. So as with everything with all the tariffs and IEEPA, it's a day-to-day evolving process. The button was missing yesterday. I don't know if it's back today or not, but
Yeah,
it,
I
it
heard it
should be.
was,
It's a
and
known problem.
yeah, I heard it was. And I actually heard some of the comments in our one of the groups that we're in said that sometimes if you logged in, back out and back in like 2 to 3 times, that it fixed itself. So,
Yes.
so it isn't. I know Customs it's a glitchier program sometimes. As brokers, we've used the ACE portal for years, and it's kind of glitchy sometimes. So sometimes you have to be in the right web browser. So know that there are options and different things. There's always helplines that are available with Customs. Sometimes I had heard one customer who held yesterday for 3 hours, and I had one that held for 2 hours. So it takes a little bit of time Customs is helpful, but it does take a little bit of time. So know that. Anyway, with that said, if you want to make sure that um, something to think about is make sure that all of your entries that have IEEPA tariffs have been captured. There's a couple of ways to double check that information, especially if you use several brokers or several different carriers like FedEx or UPS or something. Here's a program within the ACE portal to check your entries that have been filed against your importer number. Um, let's see, you'll want to, I guess, let's see, double check. And he's got so it's under reports, under entry summaries, and then there's two different ones that I felt were more relevant. There's the entry line details and the summary line tariff details. And this is what you'll see when you do that. You'll go to, I guess you have to put in your parameters. So you're going to want to put in your company name, which should automatically populate. And the next one down shows entry summary date, the beginning and the ending. And this is an older program. You have to go to the calendar, click on the date you want, make sure you hit enter, and make sure on that left side where it says all values that it populates the date. So you can put in your beginning and your ending, and this is what here's the information that you'll get is the next slide. And know that it takes patience to be on the ACE portal.
Yeah, these took, I think, 5 minutes to
Yeah,
load a piece.
to load up. You got to know that you're just going to sit
Application.
on a blank screen for a few minutes, could be up to two, and then all of a sudden you'll see a little bubbles that show that something is moving. Um, so take a deep breath often when you're using this. Um, let's see. So that should show all your entry numbers. Anyway, and another way to double check that to make sure that you have captured all of your IEPA refunds is the surety that you use. If you have a continuous bond, the surety that you use keeps track of all those also. So you could either contact your surety and ask them for a report to run a report against your importer record number, or the broker who filed that should also be able to run that for you. We've done that for quite a few of our accounts some of them have been surprised that FedEx has used their importer record number maybe, or another broker that they didn't realize they had a power of attorney with. So double check those. It's also a good time to maybe double check who you have outstanding powers of attorney for customs business with, to keep a close tab on that. So what we know, this phase, let's see, this is the first phase of the IEPA refund process. I guess you can read these. It's for unliquidated status up to 80 days past their liquidation, um, which is most entries. I would suggest submitting things in smaller batches, more manageable. There are no limits to how many times you can submit through the CAPE system. If entries get kicked back out, go through those. Maybe you may have to include your customs broker. The only entities that can apply for a IEPA refund is the importer of record or the broker that filed that entry. And that has to be done through the broker to do it it's a little more complicated for your broker to do it for you. But so those are the only two. I know I've seen some ads for companies that are saying that they'll do it for a cost, but they can't. So that's because that was very explicitly written in the court order. Let's see, your entry number that you do need to, sorry, I'm probably not keeping up with the slide very well. Yeah.
We're almost out of time, so I'm pushing us
Okay.
to the end here.
You are. Okay, you are. Okay. Know that your entry number, your CSV file is very important. It has to be very specific or it will kick it out. It's your entry code consists of the 3-digit filer code and then 8-digit entry number. So make sure that you have that. There can't be any dashes or dots or anything in that entry number. You can have commas in between the entry numbers, but that's all that will be accepted. We also have a QR code on our next file. So here's our tips. Sorry if I'm do some. This QR code can get you to a lot of other information about customs. Customs has got a lot, like we said, of CSMS messages to help along this way, and your customs broker should be able to help out also. So there's a link and we will post this information. Make sure, a little tip in your ACE portal account, make sure you're logging into it. I would say every 30 days, even though customs requires 45, because once you get kicked out, you have to do a reset, and that just is a lengthy process. Like Ben said, FedEx, UPS, and DHL have said that they are working on their IEPA tariff refunds when they were the importer of record and not the consignee. No information. They haven't posted direct information yet, but they are acknowledging that they do owe some money back. I think I missed a lot of things, but anything else you want us to cover, Ben?
This is great, first of all. I just want to say thank you for coming on because we do a lot of these updates that are really useful for businesses attending. But this is like where the rubber meets the road. Like we're talking high level about, hey, it's an easy process and businesses probably have all these questions. So you're like, no, here is the process. We'll walk you through it step by step. So I just want to say thank you for that method and way of doing this. It's so helpful. And this is a great resource that could be shared afterwards to be like, if you're going through it, here you go. So I just want to say thank you for that. Two questions. One, if I'm a business, going through this process, what are the biggest errors you're seeing and I saw that in your tips page, but maybe like one or two that's like, no, really, we're seeing this, just pay attention to that. And my second question is the May 11th date that we're seeing in the press. Is that just going to end up being a liquidation report? Because I think a lot of folks are anticipating refunds by May 11th. And I'm like, the 60 to 90 day window doesn't necessarily fit that. So would love any insight on those two fronts.
I may have put something in the slide wrong. I think it was correct on early on and then incorrect later on. The 3% was the approved status, I guess. So they've gotten people through to the final stage. We're just waiting for payment. So yeah, if you have any information other than everybody else has got as far as actual money being transferred.
Yeah. I think the biggest error that we're seeing first, well, it's more of I guess a wall people are hitting is when they sign up for their ACE portal, they don't know who the trade account owner is. And that's important. We can also, what email is tied to that ACE portal. So make sure your broker can send, it's called a 5106. Anyway, got my numbers here. That updates your information to customs. So make sure that's accurate and stuff. And also the CSV file, it really needs to be just entry numbers, no other information, just numbers is all they want. So make sure that's a reason that people are getting kickbacks. Yeah, the 3% actually includes And so I think the thing I saw yesterday from the National Customs Brokers Association was approximately 21% of entries, of the total entries that were subject to the IEEPA tariffs have been received. So what Customs is expecting to, entries that are qualified for these refunds, they have 21% they have received. Roughly 3% have been liquidated and are in the refund stage process. So, and that's from the Treasury Department. So that money is coming back. So,
Wow.
usually we think Customs is slow and a snail pace, but they're doing what they say and it's working out. So we're seeing a lot of that. There is if you do have an ACE portal problem, there's long wait times and stuff like that. So sorry, I know we're out of time, but does that answer those questions?
Yes, it does. Thank you. And Jim, I don't know if you're addressing the question in the chat, and then we could probably close up.
Yeah, the question is, how can we get today's slide deck? What do you think the best approach here would be, Ben?
Well, if we get it from Mike and Sherry, we could send it out to the wider audience. It's typical process on how we do this, so happy to do that. And if that's okay with you two.
Yeah, not a problem. Honestly, this is regurgitated a little bit from our experience, but CBP's got a great step-by-step with screenshots as well. So I'll attach both of those for you guys.
That's great, and we'll send that out to the wider audience.
And I would
Thank
just
you.
add, trust the process. It's working. So you can do it to importers.
Great. Well, thank you
Great.
both. Jim?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for walking us through that,
Not a worry. Yeah, we're
Sherry and Mike.
happy to hold hands.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we're
and
here. We're answering lots of questions and trust the process.
excellent. Well, thank you so much, and I will promote you any day, Mike and Sherry. You can be honorary presidents and chairman.
Yeah, we
And
I'll
Ben,
start
you're now a
charging.
doctor.
Awesome.
All
Well,
right.
thank you everyone for your time. And as always, feel free to reach out to us if you have further questions. We're happy to connect you with Mike and Sherry as well if you have trouble reaching them. But we'll look forward to seeing everyone next Friday. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.